How's it going? Dave, or Kamikosmos, depending on where you know me from. So I got my copy of Conqueror. This is the Type A limited edition with the Blu-ray in it. I got it from the international shop, hence the little button there. It was their pre-order item. There was, I think one place had like a folder and I don't know, there was stickers, there was all kinds of stuff, posters. In the packaging, it just came in a little kind of that plasticky bubble wrap, kind of like what Amazon uses. Pretty basic. It wasn't wrapped in extra bubble wrap or anything, but I mean, it made it. It's a little scary sometimes when you think about how far it goes, but it's tough. It'll be fine. So anyways, it comes in this little plastic bag, so we'll open that up here. Which is nice. That actually has the track listing on it there. Probably hard to see with it being now transparent. But yeah, it's got the 15 tracks, the 3-track Blu-ray that I'm very excited about. Alright, let's see. It's got what I like is it's very similar to the World Domination packaging. The World Domination packaging, as you know, had that kind of matte black on black kind of font, and this is similar, like the back. You can see it there. And it's got a cool little, the seal is cool. It's got their bow logo, which I just think is the most metal logo out there right now. So I hate to cut that. I don't know if there's really any way around it, because I bet if you try to peel it off, it'll. So we'll just slice it. I'm going to slice myself. This is an old knife, so it's a little dull. As you can see over here, I've got my full BAND-MAID collection. I have limited editions of everything, which is nice. This cover, the normal edition, has Miku not sticking her tongue out, and each member actually has their own cover with the flowers and their own pose for the normal editions that were available at different places. CD Japan, I think, had one, and there was 2 or 3 shops. So if you wanted to get them all, 5 of the standard plus the Type A, so that'd be 6 albums to buy. And I know a lot of those were available at little shops that you'd have to use proxy buying and everything on, so then you'd have extra fees there. The proxy buying is cool. Zen Market, CD Japan has it built in. It can get expensive, especially on if you buy a lot of little items, because a lot of times each item will have its own proxy fee of $5 or $10, so it can add up pretty quick. And you might be paying domestic shipping in Japan for it to go from house A to wherever you're buying it from, but lots of times you can't get the item otherwise, because buying things from Japan when you're in like the US or Europe is challenging. I might even do an entire video just on that, because there's a lot of ins and outs and how's this work kind of stuff. Anyways, back to Conqueror. So we'll open it up. Oh, that's cool. It matches the flag. There we go. And it's got the matte black, and there's the matte black bow. What else we got here? All right, so here we have the is that the DVD? Yeah, here's the Blu-ray, and this is the album. Oh, itself. It came with sticker sheets, which is kind of cool. You've probably seen pictures. Maybe I'll throw a couple up here, because I think Konami and Psyche already decorated theirs, but you're supposed to take the stickers and you apply them onto the album cover. So you got 2 sheets of stickers there to do a lot of English on there. The life is beautiful, be born again, burned out. Time, 2 flies. Start a new page, you and I, to the wonderland. Far away, world domination. Stay beautiful, it's like a mirage. Better be the last nothing. That's interesting. So that was over here in this pocket. And here's the lyric booklet. Now, the only one I might buy, the digital released a week before the physical release, so most people were able to listen to it early, I guess, so to speak. It was on Spotify. I got mine through Amazon MP3. But I might get the edition from, I think it's JPU. Their booklets supposedly have English translations. There's the cover of the standard album, the standard edition. And this one has, yeah, it's your normal, you know, kanji and hiragana and katakana with the mixed English, of course. But supposedly the GPU edition, and supposedly a lot of the ones just in Europe in general, have English translated lyrics, which is really nice. And what fell out here, probably World Domination Tour right after the US tours, so we're not listed on here. It's kind of cool. One thing I'm excited about on the Blu-ray is it has 3 videos. It's got Domination, Dice, and Onset, and they're all instrumental. And I thought, you know, when I pre-ordered, I'm like, well, that's cool. It'll be kind of nice to have, you know, a nice high-res copy of those songs. That's cool, you know, videos. I thought it was just the videos that we've seen, and for some reason they didn't have the vocal track in it for whatever reason, maybe for people to karaoke to or something, you know. But remember when DVDs first came out, they talked about how they would have multiple angles and interactive scenes in a movie where you could instantly pause it and pan over to the other actor and see what they were doing? Well, that never really panned out because DVDs didn't hold as much info to be able to do that kind of thing at that time. So then when Blu-rays came out, what, 10 or 15 years ago now, they did it again. Oh, we're going to have all these multi-angles, all these interactive menus. You know, you'll be able to click on a scene and it's going to open up the internet and take it to the behind-the-scenes video. I still haven't really seen too much of that outside of way over interactive menus. But those videos have multi-angles. So, for example, if you've been wanting to watch Akane play her drums through an entire song, apparently this has it. People are saying it's really good. Lots of good close-ups of like fingers on the fretboard, all kinds of stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. So there you go. Bandmaid's brand new album, Conqueror. I do have thoughts I will share as well. When I was listening to the MP3 first time, I made notes. I'm careful now about giving any sort of perceived as negative reviews. Obviously, I love the band. I love the band. I've been to 2 of their shows, San Francisco and Dallas. If you've watched other videos on here, if you've interacted with me in the fan groups or Reddit or at the shows, I'm a metal guy. I like the harder stuff, the faster stuff, the darker stuff. This album is an interesting mix. It has some heavy, fast stuff on it, and it's got some lighter ballad-like stuff, like Endless Story is a nice ballad. It's fine, it's a good song, don't get me wrong, it's just not my cup of tea, right? It's okay to feel that way. This album has 15 tracks. Some of them we've heard before. This was interesting. They decided instead of writing and recording in the studio for, you know, like most bands do, where you lock yourself in there for 2, 3, 6 months, whatever it takes, and you crank out an album. That's what they did, apparently, especially with World Domination. And I remember reading interviews that Konami was getting burned out, and she was having trouble. That was part of the kind of the lead up to start over, was the other band members were like, well, we'll help you, or let's try it this way. So this time they decided instead of going into the studio, they would just, when they came up with something, hey, I got a new bass line, hey, I got a new guitar riff, hey, I got some lyrics, they would squeeze in a recording session wherever they were at, I guess. I don't know if they were always going to the same studio or not. So the album itself is interesting because, to me, it kind of bounces around. I don't think it's got a solid, at least musical theme to it. Like World Domination is. It's hard the whole way through, pretty intense. So this one's interesting where some of the songs are very, very different. Some of the songs are like, yeah, there you go, that's the heavy, fast Bandmaid I like. Some of the songs, the mixing is different. That makes sense if they were kind of recording with, you know, hey, we're going to be at the studio on Saturday, and they're like, oh, well, the guy you normally work with isn't here, so, but Jim's good. One song specifically stood out to me on a mixing level, and it's not the one you think. Flying High. You're listening to the album, and then Flying High hits. Konami's guitar tone is a little different. It's more fuzz, less distortion. The drums are back. My only complaint about the album is the drums seem to kind of be in the back of the mix. They're kind of soft and quiet. But Flying High, they're back up front. Now, The Dragon Cries is one that they came to New York and had apparently just the vocals. I don't know how much mastering the producer did for him, but he's worked with a lot of big bands, including like David Bowie. So he knows what he's doing, and it's good for the band, of course, you know, to get some of that recognition and name dropping in those circles. Hey, you know, this famous producer made this song for us, and he can go out and tell people, you know, I worked with this band from Japan. They're awesome. You guys need to work with them. So it's good for them to do that. The song itself is okay. It sounds very classic American rock, which is fine. That falls into their wheelhouse, to use a trendy term right now. I don't know if they necessarily need to continue that kind of sound. I don't think it really fits well with what they do, but it was an interesting experiment. A lot of people are calling this an experimental album, and I can see why when you have experiments like that. So the other thing kind of weird about this is we already know several of the songs that were on it before it came out. Glory and Bubble and Endless Story. Reincarnation released, a month or even just a couple of weeks right before it dropped. We already kind of knew several songs. Kind of run down my thoughts here. Like I said, I like the hard, fast, heavy stuff, so it's kind of obvious. It opens with Page. It's an interesting way to open an album. They said in an interview that Konami envisioned it as like a wedding song. I don't speak Japanese. I'm not a native Japanese speaker, so even if I read the lyrics, yeah, they're pretty, but it doesn't touch me on that emotional level that I think a lot of people get out of it. Endless Story is the same one. I remember people were talking about how, people were crying in the audience when they heard it the first time, and I'm like, interesting. Glory, that came out last October of 18. That's the ending credits for Yu-Gi-Oh! Liberal, the music was great. It kind of had several songs on here have this kind of weird, it's like 2 or 3 songs kind of crammed together. I don't know if it needed a little bit more polish, a little more time in the studio to kind of simmer and go, you know, we like that feel for this song, not this one, or we like that bit, let's expand it. So some of the songs have this kind of chaotic, and it could be intentional, or it could just be maybe with the style of kind of doing it whenever the things didn't quite. What little recording I've done, I know a lot of times you have to do something and then you have to walk away from it, and you come back a few days later and you listen to it and you're like, oh, I got to redo that part, or that mix is way off over here. Oh God, what am I doing on the bass? You know. So I don't know if maybe that was skipped with all the touring and stuff going on at the same time. I don't know. To me, some of them sound a little. That's an odd direction. Again, experimental, I guess. Endless Story, like I said, it's a fine song. I'm okay with it. It's just not really my cup of tea. Mirage. I mentioned that the solo was very cool, and Konami will have a lot of fun with that on stage. At the Drop of a Hat. I know this is another one that I see a lot of people are saying, oh, it's so awesome, and other people are like, eh. I like the layering of the instruments. I thought it was a little long, a little slow. I thought they could have maybe spiced it up a bit, maybe throw in a little bit of a near the middle, you know, a key change or a tempo change or something. Wonderland. I heard it in Dallas, and I thought it was really, really good. And on here, it's another one that kind of feels a little confused. So, I don't know. Azure, they played it in Japan, I believe. It kind of feels like screaming. It's that kind of crazy, hectic, fast. It's pretty good. Dilemma. Intro's good and fast. Staccato vocals with matching guitar riffs. Another short but awesome Konami solo. And I think I remember reading somewhere that Misa said Dilemma was her favorite. Bubble was opening credits for like a crime drama. I forget the name of the show offhand. That was the one that had the music video. It was basically a shot-for-shot remake. Bohemian Rhapsody trailer that was out earlier this year in January. Dragon Cries, I already talked about that. I'll throw in there also. Bass and drum breakdown was neat, and the solo was good. Flying High, I already talked about as well. Misa's bass work on that was really good. I said Misa's killing it. She's so good. I like the vocal work. They need to do the style of Miku and Psyche doing their back and forth rather than just Miku backing. And I know they've acknowledged that. I think in the Start Over, that was one thing I did like about Start Over. They did that back and forth. I'm a big Pink Floyd fan, and I always loved how Roger Waters and David Gilmour would trade off, you know, Roger on lead vocals, and then Gilmour comes on the chorus, and their voices were different, but yet they could back each other, much like Psyche and Miku. And I hope that they develop that more. Catharsis. Digging the guitar riffs. This is a good one. Lots going on without being really chaotic. Because I know a lot of people like screaming. Some people are like, oh, it's too much. You know, there's a lot going on. Blooming. In my opinion, Blooming should have been the album opener. They just put out a video for it last week. I know it hit like 60 or 70,000 views in the first 24 hours, so it took off. Really nice intro. Psyche doing that cool, I call it Angry Psyche. Really fast staccato vocals. Sometimes they put a little bit of a distortion effect on her voice. Oh, I love that. It just sounds so like raw, you know. A good chorus section, great groove by Akane on her drums, a really intense solo by Konami. Also a kind of a bonus outro solo going on. Reincarnation was released before the album came out. It has a really cool accelerating double bass drum intro. A lot of people are like, oh, that's a metal song. It's a metal song. I'm like, well, to me, it's basically just a really fast punk song. But that kind of shows the differences in musical interpretation. There you go, Bandmaid's new Conqueror album. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think of the album and my video and anything else down in the comments below. Thank you.